Okay.
Okay.
I'm live.
I was thinking if you could like freak people out by having it be like a frozen,
Just like frozen screen.
Just frozen
and
screen.
People were like, "What? Are they starting?
Are they starting? I don't get it.
Hi.
Hi. Good evening. We're back.
It's been a hiatus.
It's been a hiatus. I mean, probably not for people because we put out a new episode last week. You gotta share it.
Oh yeah.
Go share it.
One memento.
I am Christopher Balzano.
I'm Natalie Crist.
And welcome to Tripping on Legends Live. And tonight's episode is called Ghostly Dreams.
Ooh.
So, just a few things kind of before we start and we get into things. We have, there's my voice. We're going to see how this works. We're not sure if the call-in stuff is going to be effective or not effective. So we don't have it hooked up, but we're going to try to do if someone does call in, feed the audio through and just kind of like put the phone to the mic.
Yeah.
Like be wicked techie.
Wicked techie.
Like that. As you can see, speaking about wicked techie, I am wearing my Bruins shirt. I am not a bandwagon Bruins person.
What does that mean?
What does bandwagon mean?
Well, what is bandwagon Bruins?
Well, because like, a bandwagon means like if your team is doing well, so all of a sudden you're a fan.
Oh, so you're just a diehard, is what you're saying? Like, is there any kind of in between?
No, it's a very complicated relationship. If the Bruins and I were on Facebook, I would say it's complicated. Okay.
Gotcha.
But I was a diehard fan growing up. Kind of fell out with them over things I'd rather not talk about, and so I'm always rooting for them. But
Gotcha.
They're doing really well, and I've been watching a lot of Bruins games because I now have YouTube TV. So if YouTube TV wants to be a sponsor, so I thought I would wear because the Bruins can make it to the Stanley Cup Finals tonight if they win.
Ah.
So if you are watching us and watching the Bruins, feel free to continue to message the score, especially if they're winning, so we can keep it up. But we have been doing some other things, including new business cards. And with that new business card, we have a new number. So we figured that if we're trying to get gigs in Florida, we should have a Florida number as opposed to a Massachusetts number. And I refuse to give up my Massachusetts number.
I don't know why.
I refuse to be a Floridian.
You're not going to go back to Massachusetts.
I'm not. No, never.
Like you're here.
No, shut up. No. And so I figured like, okay, you know what? Like, why don't I get it? So this is like a Google number, so I'm not sure how it works. The only time I ever did was I called you in the middle of work, which was not a good scene whatsoever.
It wasn't, because I was like, I'm in the middle of like, there's 5 people around me. We're talking about something, and customers have my phone number too. So I answered it. And
that's what I figured. I would call and I gave you a little bit of shit. And
I had no idea.
She had no idea it was me. I called her in the middle of the day. And we never talk during the day.
No,
like
never.
We don't even text during the day.
Nope.
So the number, if you want to call in, once we get this discussion started, is 813-418-6822. And Natalie's about to tweet that out as well.
I'm doing it. Yeah.
This is the number right there. You
got
can keep
it.
that card right there in case you ever want to get in contact with me. So tonight, that's kind of like the business stuff.
Right.
So if someone calls, we'll see how this works. And if no one calls, then we're going to send you to the other room in shame. And you are going to try to call and see if we can get through. So we'll see how this works.
Good.
We'll experiment. But we definitely don't have it like techie set up. So we were batting about a few different topics. Because like I said, we hadn't done a live show in about a month probably.
It's really been that long?
Since we did a live show, yeah, because we did 2 back-to-back. We did a live episode show. So, but it was different than our live shows, which are generally just us talking about a topic.
Okay.
And something happened this week that made me think of dreams.
What happened?
So, how long have you known me?
3 years.
3 years. And in that time, I very rarely have shared a dream with you. Like
you don't dream.
I don't dream.
Right.
Or I don't remember my dreams. And most of my dreams take on the same 2 motifs. Motif 1, I'm running from something.
Okay.
Trying to
Right.
Fear of and fear of being caught, most of all. And then my second
Real trustworthy there, Chris.
The second dream that I have, which I think is connected to the first, might be the commitment, might be something else, is the motif of something goes wrong.
Like what?
Anything. Like I need to do the dishes.
Okay.
Right?
And the dishwasher breaks? Oh, wait, you don't need the dishwasher.
things are constantly stopping me from doing the dishes, and all I want to do is do the thing.
Okay.
And I'm constantly being derailed from doing it. Usually
You
something
stand in your own
more,
way. That's what that means.
I stand on it, like something goes wrong. It's like an episode of like the Brady Bunch. Like one thing goes wrong, and then it causes me to do something else. I keep trying to get back to do the original thing I can't. But I don't have dreams, and I don't have obviously those are easily, if you know me, like you can psychologically break down what those two dreams
like,
are.
I mean,
that's
told the whole
those are
world
my
through
two
business.
issues right there: commitment, and I fuck shit up. Like those are my two things.
There's your curse
There's
words
my
for
curse
tonight.
word for today. But I had a really vivid dream, not a lucid dream, like when I was on Channix. That shit's good. But
Again with the cursing.
That's it.
You're
Those are my.
normally the
I'm blowing my stuff at the beginning.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I'm in a classroom, and I've been having a lot of stressful days in the class
Okay.
lately.
Is it because it's the end of the year?
It's because it's the end of the year, and
kids are little jerks.
let's not put blame anywhere, but I've been having a really tough time. And so I'm in the classroom. This is a dream. I'm in the classroom.
Okay.
And I'm dealing with a kid who, oddly enough, is not particularly difficult. He's sketchy, but he's not difficult.
Okay.
And he's like kind of rolling up on me, right? And I'm looking around the classroom, and some of my historically tough kids are in the classroom.
Okay.
And this kid's kind of getting in my face, and he goes to hit me. Right? Or not hit me, but we're like this, and he grabs my wrists. And all I remember thinking is, wow, this kid is ridiculously strong, which he is, I would assume. And I'm looking around, and there's an old student of mine, right? And he's sitting with like two students, and they're sitting together, who I didn't have in class together. And the guy goes, don't do that to Mr. B, right? And he goes, he's like, don't you worry about it, Mr. B. You just keep doing what you do.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And the girl next to him says, yeah, Mr. B, like, do what you do.
Okay.
That was on Sunday.
That was where the dream ended.
That's where the dream ended.
Okay.
And I remember looking at them going like, good, and looking back at him, and I just remember him being like incredibly strong.
And you were fighting against him?
Not fighting. It was more of, we were like that kind of playful thing of like,
I see.
you know, when you push against someone, but they're like obviously trying to show that they're stronger than you kind of thing.
Yeah.
Only it was with arms and stuff. Woke up on Monday to find that kid had passed. That on Saturday night, and if you're local, or if you've been following me on my personal page, you know that one of my students died. So he died. Now, why this kid would be in the dream, and specifically,
how many years ago was he your student?
Technically, like last year, like halfway through last year.
Oh wow.
He was my student for basically. He was in my class for 2 years. He went to ALC, which was still around at that time. That's when kids are, for those who don't know, that's when kids are really bad. Like they get suspended, they get expelled, they go to what's called Success Academy now.
Okay.
But had him in the classroom, like basically for 2 years, and then last year for part of the time. So he is definitely one of those kids who you love and are annoyed with in equal parts. Like definitely one of the ones that sticks with you, like 20 years from now, I'll remember this kid, even if this hadn't happened. You know, like worked with him a lot. A lot of
gut wrenching.
A lot of blood.
That's
A lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into this kid. It wasn't, and I never given up on him, and he had never given up on himself. And everyone who speaks of him says the same basic thing, including his friends. Like he used to get us in trouble all the time, but we couldn't help loving him, kind of thing.
Okay.
But of all the people to dream about,
right
at that exact time, it was William Jenkins.
I'm so sorry.
It was tough. It was tough, and it was funny because then the next day I hugged some of my hardest kids because I was like,
yeah,
you know, but I was left wondering. Oh, by the way, in a news report, because it was all over the news down here, in a news report, one of the people who they had a testimony from was the girl who he was sitting next to, who agreed with him in the dream too.
Oh man, ooh.
And that was especially poignant because that morning, maybe because she was in my dream, but I was looking for old work to show my kids, current kids, to give them like an anchor for here's how this assignment should be done. and I pulled hers off because it was good. And she has, I'm not going to share her name, but I kept saying her last name because her last name is really fun to say. It's much like our Vandaloo. Her name is very similar to Vandaloo. But I was left with like, was he sending me a message?
And why?
And what am I supposed to gather from that? And that's what made me think that this would be a really interesting episode to do, because
that's where this stems from.
That's where this stems from, because we've together collectively had dreams that may or may not be related to legend trips we've been on, or at least communications.
Right.
And I know you've had some since we've started this. I know you had some after.
And prior.
That's what I meant, prior.
The ceiling fan looks possessed. Do you want me to shut it off?
No. Because then this house is going to heat up. It's going to get hot in here. So I wanted to explore and get other people's opinions about this idea. And it's kind of two different ideas. But the first idea is, is our dreams a way that ghosts communicate with us? And so I want people to share their ideas on that, but then also stories.
Yeah.
And that might be where the call-in thing comes in.
I think that had definitely had to have been a visit.
You think that? Now, why would that one above all? While you're talking, I'm just putting the number I'm putting the phone number that people can call into so we can try.
You have it up at the top.
Yeah, but people never pay attention to that.
Oh, okay. I just think that it's too coincidental. Why would you dream about something you didn't even know he was past yet?
We've talked about ghostly synchronicity or something like that, but that's beyond synchronicity.
That's beyond synchronicity.
To have a kid that I haven't communicated with in over a year, to have that person have a dream and give me a message of encouragement was the interesting thing. And the odd thing was
he was a tough student.
Oh yeah,
right?
Oh yeah. I think I sent it to you. I think the message that said I've written so many referrals on him that I've probably written more. I think I said I've written about him so much that he must be a ghostly legend. You know what I'm saying? Because I've had to file so many things on him and stuff like that. And the other weird thing is that between last year and this year, he had lost a lot of weight. He had gotten a new hairstyle, and it was his current weight and his current hairstyle. So he was a big kid.
And had you seen him recently?
Nope, hadn't seen him at all. Hadn't seen him in over a year.
So then it has to be.
So he was. I mean, and and the second part of what I want to discuss tonight.
Don't ghostly visits, don't they usually come to you in the form that you would recognize most?
I don't know. I mean, what's your experience? I mean, have you had ghostly dreams?
Absolutely.
That involve people that you know?
Yeah.
And did they look the way that you envisioned them, or like the ideal them, or did they look like?
They didn't look like the ideal them. No, they look like how I would remember them.
How you would remember them. That's what. Well, that's what I mean. Like your ideal of them, like in your head, what like you see when you think of them.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a little bit stronger, a little bit better.
What do you mean?
I don't want to say younger, but more vibrant, healthier.
More vibrant, healthier. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So like not what you would think of as the last dying moments of somebody's life, how they look.
Yeah, unless of course part of the message was to get the message across.
What do you mean?
Like in other words, I'm gonna look the way I look now so that you make the connection when you see me of like, oh my God, like what I just said. He looked like he looks now, not like when I knew him. So that I would make that leap.
So that you would make that leap, yeah.
Wait a minute, there's something weird in that. There's something bigger in that.
So what do you think the dream meant? Or the visit meant?
I think this has been an extremely tough year in terms of trying to connect with some of these kids. There's a huge difference between high school and middle school.
Is there?
I think there is. I think that there's a lot that gets set in people's brains.
You've done an excellent job this year,
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But I feel like I haven't connected with my kids this year as much. I feel they think maybe a little bit tougher. I mean, I always joke, I have an entire class. And I said today, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to call them out. Every kid I say, I get like maybe a 10% good morning rate when I say good morning to them. That's ridiculous for someone who like goes out there and gives their heart and jumps around and tries to do things and like they go as they walk in the door.
They're teenagers.
Right, they're teenagers. So I went, good morning, rude. Good morning, rude. But so I think the message was keep going. You know what I'm saying? Like keep going. Like
even though you're fighting against the students.
That these kids,
keep doing what you do.
A kid like this, obviously and the situation was kind of crazy how it happened, but like I don't think in his last moment he was thinking Mr. Balzano was a really great teacher.
No, but
doesn't
that make you think that when people depart this earth, maybe they go to the people that were most influential, or maybe they feel their struggles? But that's like what we've talked about before is, do they magically gain the power to feel other struggles? Do they magically know more?
Like, do they automatically become guardian angels?
Right.
I know you're very comfortable with that phrase and that idea of that, like, humans become guardian angels and look after us. You know, it's I'm not sure if he even needs wisdom. I was most confused about why he made contact with me. Like the classic edition of the crisis apparition. Right. So the crisis apparition is the one that comes to you that basically says everything's going to be okay. I've died. I'm in a better place.
Yeah, but normally that's for somebody that's very close to you too. You know, like for somebody that you haven't contacted in a year.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So it was kind of weird that unless he knows that like Mr. Balzano would be more open to this, or Mr. Balzano would make these connections.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's a classic case of I'm going to communicate with the person who can hear me.
Oh, the question now begs: do you go to the parents, the family, and tell them?
I've written a letter to the parents.
Okay.
About other stuff. And talking about him and talking about teachers and talking about relationships and things like that. I didn't say, and then he came to me.
Right.
He came to me in a dream. Because
I don't know.
That's maybe a little too intense to hear, and also a little intense to admit. You know, because don't tell anyone this happened. Okay? Mm-hmm. Let's keep it a secret just between you and I.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So, but, you know, like I said, the classic example of this is a crisis apparition, where in dreams, someone appears to you to give you information that's needed. Like that's the model. And there's tons of examples of that.
Or the piece that you're looking for.
You know, and sometimes it's they can't move on until they give that message. So why would dreams be a good way to do that is the question.
Ooh, good question. You know? Because we are in our most relaxed state.
Yeah.
And we're more open to things.
And we like to think of, or one of the things is that, you know, these things both work on, your brain is working at a different level. Mm-hmm. You know, you're in different, you know, there's beta and alpha and stuff like that, these different wavelengths. When you're in REM sleep, the energy that you can receive is different. You know, the classic thing of like listening to music or listening to French on your headphones, and you understand French when you do it. Or if you're watching Saved by the Bell, love messages about Zach Morris in your sleep.
What? Where did that come from?
I don't know. Just maybe Zach Morris is trash.
Wait, I just wanted to say Miguel's comment. He wished his wife wasn't working, as she has had several dreams in the past where someone has visited her and then passed away later on. And that's pretty neat, Miguel. That's
right. And then that's the other one. Like do we get visions of things? Like are there spirits that tell us, and is there a difference between psychic ability and ghost messages in sleep? You know? Good
question. Because I've had both of those experiences.
Can you share one of them with us?
It was pretty irrelevant. Like it meant absolutely nothing.
That's where we're gonna call ourselves. That's actually the new title of the show. Tripping on Legends. Natalie's irrelevant. Continue.
Natalie's irrelevant.
Share one of them.
Okay, sure. One of them.
Sure. If you feel comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable.
Absolutely, yeah. We had when I was married, my husband worked night shifts, so he was gone most of the time at night, right? So I at one point had a vision of what he would do when he got home. And I was never awake. It was 2 or 3 in the morning when he came home. And it was the strangest thing.
Is this going to kind of get like a little kinky dream, or is this?
No, this is not a kinky dream.
Continue.
Sorry.
Okay.
I dreamt that something fell and broke in the bathroom, and it was a jar of Q-tips. Right?
Okay, great. So something that's
something totally irrelevant, right? So why would I dream this? And then so I dreamt the door opening. I dreamt the Q-tips falling. I dreamt me getting up, seeing what time it was. Cleaning it up with him. And then it happened.
Wow, that's crazy.
Right?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And why something so mundane?
Right.
Like if you're gonna dream about something, was it a special moment between the two of you? Was it, I'm not sure your relationship with Q-tips, but like was it something that like No, so it was just kind of like a random thing. Like, why, if they're going to receive a message, but there was no ghosts involved in that. Like, you don't feel someone was, so that was more of like a premonition.
It was more
kind
like
of
a
dream.
premonition. Yeah, it was like the psychic ability of what's going to happen tonight.
Yeah.
But why? The Q-tips.
That is.
You know?
Can I share one of mine?
Absolutely.
Okay, not to like rail yours, but
no, I'm just saying like that's an experience.
So probably the most profound ghost dream that I've ever had. And I don't think I've ever shared this with anyone.
Okay.
And the person kind of involved in this is a sometimes viewer of our show. And I don't know if he's ever heard this. I don't believe I've ever shared this with him.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if he's in the audio. Are you calling the number?
No, I'm not calling the number.
Okay.
Are you going to tell yourself?
No. Okay. So
I was going to respond to Miguel.
Oh, okay. So this is so when I was in high school, my best friend's mother died, and her and I were close. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to go so far as to say like second mother, but I spent so much time at his house that, I mean, we had a conversation hours before she died, you know? And actually the conversation we had involved her saying, she was sweeping, you know, this, but I don't think you've heard the other part of this. So she said, if you don't take this broom and finish sweeping for me, I'm going to die on my feet. And then she died a few hours later, not of sweeping. So it was very impactful. It was probably a lot of the people who I know, it was their kind of like one of the pivotal moments of our high school. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We had a lot of death in my high school. A few nights after, and I remember this dream moment by moment still to this day, 30 years later. I walk in and to what I can only assume is her wake.
Had you already been to the wake?
I think it was before the actual wake. The wake and the funeral were horrific. And I walk into the room and I get the feeling that it's her wake. Like, it feels like a wake. Sure. But there's no body displayed.
Okay.
However, she's on the couch.
Ooh.
And she's kind of on the couch in a frozen kind of way. Like, she doesn't seem animated. So it's almost like she's instead of being displayed in the coffin, she's being displayed on the couch.
Okay. Like, she's lying down or
something? Nope, she's sitting up.
Okay.
She's sitting up. And she's alive, but not animated.
Okay.
I don't know if I can describe it any better than
It's all right. Keep going.
I could see her breathing, and she's not looking around. She's kind of frozen. And there's a seat next to her on the couch. And I go, ain't no way I'm sitting down there. And so I remember going around her. So I was behind her.
Okay.
And something pushed me into her. And when I say into her, I mean literally into her. Oof. So I was
goosebumps
in her essence. You know what I'm saying? Like, our energies were one.
Mixed. Mm-hmm.
Right. And everything was completely like looking into a flashlight. I was no longer there. She was no longer there. It was just light.
Oof. Oh my God.
And she said to me, you need to take care of him. And she said, it's not going to be easy, and not everyone's going to want you to do it, but you need to look after him. Oh. She said, you're the one who has the strength to look after him.
Oh my God.
And he had a really tough time after that, as you would imagine. And it was a combination of...
Is that where it ended?
The dream? Yeah, I'm sorry. The dream. And I snapped open awake. And in the following years, there were many people who had he'll work it out. And I felt like I couldn't do that. And so I confronted him about things that he was doing and stuff like that, which caused me to have somewhat of a falling out with his family. Mm. And so relationships with that family, with him was always good and always strong and stronger still to this day. But the rest of the family kind of was very angry with me for doing that. But I felt like that I was given that task.
Right.
And so the issue with ghostly dreams is that you're left wondering whether it's your subconscious, right? Whether it's your so we're talking about William and his dream, like that's pretty crazy. But this dream, I've always been wondering whether it was just me feeling that I needed to do that,
right,
or whether it was her. Except for the fact that that moment of falling into her was profound.
So I've got a question for you, follow-up question.
Yeah.
Physically, did you feel anything when you fell into her? You know how sometimes in our dreams we can feel...
No. Like, that's what I'm saying. It was like the breath was out of me. Like I was not breathing oxygen, but I felt like I was breathing in her. I felt like I was literally as if our energies were combined. It was warm. It was like satisfying. It was happy.
When you woke up, what did you feel like? Do you remember?
Same thing for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And that's the weird thing when we wake up from the ghostly dreams. We're like, is there? And I'm going to share one that's kind of the opposite of that. And we're left wondering, like, did that really just happen?
Right,
what did that mean?
Yeah.
And they stay with us too.
Right.
And that's kind of the weird thing is that our dreams come and go. Would you normally step in without the dream?
I'm confused about that question, Miguel. What do you mean?
So Miguel, if you can
elaborate a little.
We'll come back to it. But I think that's probably why so many of these get pushed off. I do think that ghosts have the ability to communicate in our dreams. I think maybe for some of them, that's the only way. Like if you were to say to someone, manipulate this radio, you know what I'm saying? Manipulate this light and stuff like that. But if you say, can you enter someone's dream? Traditionally, because, if there are two things in this world that people don't understand, it's death and what happens to us after we die in our dreams.
Right.
And people have made a lot of money and a lot of careers off analyzing dreams, off trying to create symbols, and when I was promoting this, I said, forget the symbolism, forget what happens when you flat out are receiving a message that you think might be from beyond the grave in the dream. And
also, does it matter? Does it even matter?
Does
it even matter if it's from beyond the grave? If it makes you feel something in such a profound way that it changes your behavior.
Have you ever had a profound dream, though, that did that, though? You know what I'm saying? Like, so if we're talking about whether they're real or whether they're not real, and I understand our role as folklorists isn't necessarily to always do that. Would I have talked to him? Would you have talked to him? Sorry, sounded better than in my head as y'all have figured out. I would have been there. No, I don't think so. I don't think I would have had, no. I think what he's asking, would I have had the strength to confront him if I hadn't had that dream? And the answer is no.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The power struggle of that was, he was always the one that had the power in the relationship kind of thing. And more importantly, his support system was so strong that there's no way I would have confronted him like that.
Right.
Or gone against them, more importantly, if I hadn't had that dream. So no, that dream is the sole reason why I was looking out for him as much as I was. Otherwise, I probably would have just been the same thing of like, let him go through it. He's got to get,
right.
Like, instead of being like, dude, what are you doing?
That changed your course of normal action.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Well, okay, and then question, do you think that after we get these messages, do you think that presence stays with us to push us towards the messages that we're given?
So this kind of goes into what we've always talked about with guardian angels, and I think we've done a few things like that. And I've always said my belief is that there are people around us and forces around us that try to get us to do the right thing. And so I would totally be in line with that. Like they
maybe
do
she
stay
pushed
around.
You.
Yeah.
Maybe her presence, kind of stayed with you and pushed you to confront him.
Yeah.
I mean, have the courage to do so.
I guess there's a part of me that would hope that she moved on.
Yeah.
And found happiness and was watching him in other ways. And if there was ever a woman that was going to heaven, it was this woman. You know what I'm saying? If there's such thing as heaven and there's certain criteria, it was this woman was getting in there. So I think that definitely the dream intervened with how I was going to behave with him, and it molded that.
Right.
Definitely, 100%. Which is why I'm left wondering with this one, like, well, what do I do with this William?
What do you do with this?
Do I?
Do you take that as just a personal message of your behavior of just keep chugging along?
Yeah, well, I said, the next day I did hug some of my especially tough kids and went like, hey, I'm there for you. Right. And to which she went, Balzano, stop touching me. And I'm like, now I'm going to get reported for going around hugging kids, but there are worse things to be reported for. So, it's I think it's really tough to make that distinction between what just might be our subconscious sending us messages. If you're a believer in the subconscious, if you're in the belief of
your dream this
Jung
week,
and like Freud and stuff like that.
It cannot be your subconscious.
So
it can't be.
So in actuality, I was watching something, and I remember in retrospect hearing the news, like hearing it on the news. I don't remember a name being said because I would have snapped when I heard the name, but I do remember hearing, in the news tonight, like a kayaker died, like hearing they
didn't release the name right away anyways.
So I do remember hearing the news report because I was watching, I think, Bruins hockey. And I heard, but I don't remember hearing the name. So subconsciously, did I hear the name? I don't know.
No, because they didn't release the name.
They didn't release it till Monday. So it wouldn't have even been. So it's kind of, stuck like that.
Yeah.
If you have a dream you want to share, or if you have an idea or an opinion on whether or not ghostly, whether ghosts try to communicate or at least can communicate with us in our dreams, our new number is 813-418-4822. That's 813-LEGEND. It's not really 813-LEGEND. That would be pretty cool, though.
Awesome.
I tried to do it, but you kind of have to give what they...
Or like tripping.
Trip. 666 trip.
Just side note, if you're watching this and it's no longer live, don't call it like 1:00 in the morning. We won't pick up. He will not pick up.
I will not pick up. I might be if I'm lonely. Please don't call it.
Wait, I've got a question. Can it receive
after one?
Can it receive?
I'm all alone. I need you now.
Can it receive text messages?
I don't know.
We should try.
I do know, however, that if someone calls, the computer's going to light up that they called.
Oh, really?
That someone's calling, but my phone should too, so I should be able to pick up.
Okay.
But Natalie's going to try a text message and see if this works as well.
That way, if they want to stay anonymous, they can.
Anonymous. So,
tell the other one.
Well, I want to get into the second part of the discussion.
All right, fine.
Because I know it's something that you do also have experience in, which is there a difference? Hello.
It does receive text messages.
So you can text message us too if you
want to stay anonymous.
If you want to stay anonymous
and still get your message across and have us share it, without the world knowing your name and your business, text that number and we can tell your story on air.
So you can call or text. I guess that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Astral projection.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is an entirely separate topic, and maybe we can cover this in more detail. But that's my question. So we can
table that.
Stomp it. No, we can stomp it pretty early. Do you think there's a difference between astral projection and paranormal sleeping?
Visits from ghosts?
And visits from ghosts.
Yes.
Okay, explain why you think that is.
I think astral projection, your subconscious is going looking for the message.
Right.
Whereas...
But does it work on the same premise? Like the
same energy, same wavelengths?
Like if we're talking, so if we take it to a legend level.
I've had both.
If we take it to a legend level, right? So ideas about ghostly visitations and dreams, or even what happens is that our soul leaves our body, we communicate with other people, therefore we can communicate with souls that have passed.
Right.
Isn't astral projection, doesn't that work on the same premise? You know more about it because you've done research on it and done it.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried to do it and it didn't work. What's your opinion then? Does it at least work on the same premise, do you think, or do you think it's different things? I understand you're looking for I can
only say based upon my personal experiences. I can't really say about the research that I've done because it's kind of all over the place depending on who you talk to.
So explain what you mean.
Both times are different experiences that I've had where I've astral projected and gone to visit somebody in a different location or whatever, and I felt myself leave, have been different than when I've received messages during sleep.
Can you explain the difference at all? And if you need me to kill time for a little bit while you think about it.
No.
Because I am springing this on you.
No, it's okay.
The difference between the two of them.
I mean, I've traveled. You can feel yourself leave and kind of pinpoint who you want to go see.
When you did that, did you pinpoint an alive person or a dead person?
Dead person.
Okay. And that seems really about to feel like a dead person, but because I know the story because it's the first story that you ever told me when we met.
Right.
Do you want to share that story or no? And you don't have to, because I know that
The first time was completely on accident.
Right.
No, I don't really want to share that story. I'll start crying.
But then isn't that the
You know
same
what I'm
thing as a
saying?
ghostly message? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
if you did
maybe
it by
they
accident,
were
then
pulling
he
me.
pulled you in?
Yeah, maybe.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I think that's tough to say. I think if you're astral projecting, you could still even be dreaming you're astral projecting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I think, and of course, we hate the word science around here.
Right. We don't like that.
But is it the same basic premise of science, or same scientific principle, or same even theoretical, metaphysical premise that you are projecting your energy, you're turning yourself into pure energy to connect with other things that are energy?
Right.
And it just, like you said, is the only difference really, A, that you might be communicating with people who have passed, and B, that you are communicating with intention.
Maybe intent. Yeah, intent. Well, okay, here's a good question. Have you ever spoken to, during one of these visits or one of these messages, they've told you things, have you ever responded? Have you ever heard yourself talk?
Yes, I've heard myself talk, but it's always been getting, like, the extent of it has been like, yes, I understand, or what do you mean, and then not getting a message, usually a follow-up.
Okay.
And it hasn't happened to me very often.
Okay.
But it's been more of like, yeah, like I've heard my voice,
I'm just wondering if maybe ghostly dreams
are
are just receiving the information, whereas astral projection, you can actually interact. Maybe. I don't know. I wish somebody else would have had an experience and can let us know.
Well, if I'm talking about like the second one, the one with the mother, I remember actively moving around her. I remember very consciously being like, I'm not going to sit down next to her.
Right.
And moving around. So, I mean,
but that's a thought. That's not an actual.
But that's an action. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
Like that's the same as talking. Like,
is it though? Because
like I was forced to receive that message. I didn't want to receive it.
Right.
And I was forced to receive it. So I was my hands were tied.
Yeah.
You know?
But you were in the receiving end. You weren't.
Right.
You weren't looking to give somebody else that, know, or speak to. You weren't looking to speak with her.
No. Like I didn't go to sleep being like, if only I could get a message.
Right.
Have you ever done that?
Yeah.
Like slept? I don't think I've ever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of times. Mm-hmm.
And it's happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You don't have to share because like I know that
that'll make me cry, and I don't want to.
I know you've already teared up once tonight, at least, if not twice. So I don't want to. This isn't like a cry fest.
I can tell my story on a personal basis. If actually, I think they might be on one of the podcasts that we've done.
Really?
I think that I've told the story on there.
All right, so now you have to go and you have to listen to every single podcast
and look
so you can hear this story.
They're really neat. They're really cool experiences. Accidental at first.
And I think that I have way too much control to shoot myself out there without knowing what's out there. And
that's why I stopped doing it.
And maybe that's why I don't dream. Like maybe that's why I don't dream, is that I'm also not a good receiver that way.
Well, but you just did, so that shows that maybe you were becoming more open. And that said, you have been more open. Every legend trip that we've been on this year, you have been the one to experience the most.
Right. That is true.
And so you are opening yourself up.
You know, and I think we might have talked about this a little bit with Brandy. Did we talk to this about me being closed off? I know we definitely talked about it with April. I know we had a discussion with it on April. April is a psychic medium, who
April Roan.
Roan. You want to type that name in because if you're in the St. Augustine area.
No, she's
definitely.
She's out of Casadega.
Right, but she spends a lot of time in St. Augustine. So anywhere between Casadega and St. Augustine. But we'll put her name actually in there. And you know what? If you do it on mine, if you tag her, you can tag her because she's a friend of mine. Okay. So she'll know we're talking about.
Hello.
So yeah, I've always not wanted to do that.
That one, right?
Yeah. I've always wanted to not do that because I fear there are too many dark things in my life.
But there's not.
I'm letting dark things in.
But there's not.
But there really are. So yeah, now that you come to think, like I have been.
You're way more
getting more stuff recently. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's like me being like, I really want something to happen, or what, or if my I don't know. I don't know why.
Anyways.
I don't know why, but that doesn't mean I've been. Although I have had more dreams, but I think the trick with the dreams for me is that if I go to sleep. I don't have a dream, but if I sleep like in the afternoon, like take a nap, I usually have a dream. Whether I remember it, it's kind of like a 10% shot. But then as we transition, then there's the infamous Devil's Tree dreams.
Which I don't remember.
Which I don't remember.
But I remember the feeling afterwards.
But I kind of remember, right. So if you don't know the story, we went to the Devil's Tree in Port St. Lucie. I think we talked about this on like the last show about something.
It's just a very
about messages and stuff like that, right? And so when we came back, we both had horrific dreams. I remember
possessed by a demon.
Well, the demon was knocking. You weren't answering. You would give no way. But there was something knocking, definitely, literally and figuratively. And I remember mine being like fast images.
Yeah, and it was very, I don't want to say gory is the wrong word.
No,
but
it looked like a Tool video or like a 9 Inch Nails video.
Oh, like that one thing that you showed me with the doll and the head and the
right.
Yes, that's exactly.
It was like that kind of like it was as if they
like I couldn't
or something like or something that Fincher would have made. You know what I'm saying? Fincher, the director, Seven.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like something really like flashy and weird and distorted and kind of like like you know what it was? Here you go. What? It was like the opening of every single season of American Horror Story.
Yes.
Like including maybe that music in it too. That like.
Mine was a pan flute. Anyways, so what does that mean? Does that mean that it's the dark energy that we held on to, or did we get a message? Was that a message?
I think that was. I think that we were just saying that was knocking.
You think that was just knocking?
That was like that.
You don't think? I like to think that it was just dark energy that was with us. It was just negative energy that we had brought from that place home with us.
I think it wanted us though. I think it was.
I think we fought
that. I think we fought that back.
Yeah.
But I think that it definitely was.
If I were to think that were even possible,
yeah,
I wouldn't do the legend chips anymore.
Why? You've proven that you can beat it back.
Yeah, but
you can
that
beat
one
back
time
the
I can't
forces
beat
of
it back,
evil.
and then I'm possessed and go crazy.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
I just like to think it was negative energy, and we let it go.
Well, we all have our own thoughts, right? But I, you know, there was something, which is what makes me think it's the other thing, is that there was something, or there is at least something seductive about that. Like you can't turn away kind of stuff. Like it's so weird and abstract and kind of that I was horrified at what might be the next thing that was going to come into my brain, but horrified enough that I was in a state of awareness. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, I kept waking up. I remember that.
Did you? I remember keep waking up and kept hearing the music.
Yeah.
Every time I woke up. And I have a similar dream to that. And once again, we'd love for you guys to share out your experiences, or at least ask us questions, share your opinions. We're not going to get away. Whatever. It's all good. So when I was a senior in college, no, I wasn't a senior in college. I was a sophomore becoming a junior.
Okay.
That summer I lived with my best friend at this place, the intersection of Mass Ave and Boylston. I believe the building was actually called the Boylston.
Okay.
Right across the street from Tower Records. I'm just giving some perspective from people who know the area because it was cool. Like I was right there.
There, next to Tower Records.
Shut up.
I parked my car right there next to Tower Records.
I didn't have a car. Are you crazy? Talking about the parking over there, Nick? I get anything. And so we were probably because of boredom, partly because of the people we were hanging around with, partly because we had no money to do anything. We spent a lot of time at the Ouija board. And we were to some degree obsessed with doing the Ouija board. Like we were doing it nightly, stuff like that. We had weird things start to happen. We were coming off of the whole federal government and all that stuff was months before that. And so we were kind of weird at it anyway. And so we basically stopped doing it.
Okay.
And I had a series, there was at least 2 that I remember in detail, of dreams that involved the Ouija board. And the dreams would always had the same tone. I'd be doing something and then it would twist. right? So it was almost like like when you're watching a
What do you
movie, well, almost like when you're watching a movie and they're doing like something normal, and then something happens and you realize that they're dreaming, and something like that happens, like what are you talking about? Of course today's the day I'm going to kill you. And you're like, what? And then they wake up and it's a dream.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? It was like that.
So you were dreaming in your dream.
No, in the dream I didn't realize it was a dream, and then something. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
How about that?
Continue.
So I'm working at the Big A, and it's the end of the night, right? And I'm moving the stuff from the back counter, from the cooler counter to the back counter.
Okay.
Right? We do that so we can then clean the counter, and then we put all the food away.
Sure.
And I'm doing it with this girl named Tamara.
Okay.
And we're just talking, and I can't remember what we were talking about. Then all of a sudden she goes, you know what would be really cool? Why don't we use the Ouija board right now?
Okay.
I remember it clear as day her saying that. And I looked at her like, what? And she's like, yeah, it would be really cool. And her eyes got all red. Right?
Ew.
Then all of a sudden, the stuff on the back counter started flying off the counter and like into space. And then the glass was gone and it was flying up. And I remember this part really weird because it was really weird. It was flying up and all of a sudden we were in a playground. And the stuff was flying over a slide.
Okay.
Right? And all of a sudden over the slide came this gargantuan size of a house spider.
Ew.
Right? And it was coming up over the slide like this. And I'm like, wake up, wake up. Like I'm realizing it's a dream at that point. Wake up, wake up, wake up. And I
hate that when you have to pull yourself out of a dream.
And I pull myself out of the dream, right?
That's so hard. Like you get that sleep paralysis.
Right. And I also remember this. As the spider was coming off, in its legs were these like flashes of like pictures, like underneath its legs.
Ew.
I wake up.
It-ish.
Yes, it's very it-ish. I wake up like this, and I'm looking at the window, and the window, which is slightly ajar, has the same formation as the legs on one side. So the window looks like, in other words, it looks like the legs are still there in the apartment.
Oh God.
And on the mirror, on the window, the things are still flashing.
You just weren't awake yet.
For approximately 3 minutes. I was lying there, able to move. So it wasn't like I was having like old hag or like dream sleep paralysis. I was awake. I could move, clearly move like this. And I can remember looking at Jenna and like that and seeing these things like flying on the window.
Do you remember what the pictures were?
I don't remember the images. And I there's a story, and it's on the Tripping on Legends website.
You gave me goosebumps.
There's a story that Jenna and her roommate, Jenna was my roommate, and her roommate moved to that apartment together, and then the other one moved out. And they had a very similar experience to that with the flashing images.
Ooh.
And I'm wondering whether it was like that same energy.
Yeah.
That was there.
That was still lingering.
Was lingering somehow, only because of the picture part of it.
Right.
Another one was I was with a whole bunch of people, and we were at like a party.
Okay.
This is even more creepy.
You've creeped me out enough. Like I've got
we were at a party. And because you can say like, okay, he was obsessed with it. He was doing it a lot. So it was just on his brain, subconscious. But like that spider thing, like really, this is a true story.
Okay. When you start with that, I know it's going to be a little fucked up.
So and I'm at this party, or at least like a dinner party or something, like, and we're around a table. No, it was just like an intimate little thing.
Okay, got it.
And I don't remember the people, but I remember being like friendly with them, like feeling like I wasn't like out of place or anything like that. And we're talking, and then one of them said, I know what we can do, because this is the twist. I said it was in all the dreams. I know what we can do. Why don't we play the Ouija board? And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And I looked down, and the Ouija board was on the table. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking down, and I look up, and they're all looking at me like with these weird, like blank expressions. And now they've just become completely frozen and are staring at me almost like lifeless, soulless, kind of like, and I'm like, and a hand comes out of the Ouija board and grabs me by the neck and starts to pull me down.
Oh my God.
Right. And so I am completely freaked out. That's a pretty horrific. And it did remind me of that. Like I almost want to say it might have been the face of, and I'm like, once again, I'm like, wake up. I realize it's a dream because I've been having enough of these dreams where all of a sudden something just goes, hey, let's play the Ouija board. And so it, wait. So I'm pulling myself out, and I pull myself out, boom, and I wake up. I'm in the same place. I wake up, right? And the Ouija board's in the closet, and I'm there like this, and the door of the closet opens up.
Shut the fuck
Legitimately
up.
opens up,
No.
like not like in a dream.
No.
Like I'm lying there, and the door that has the Ouija board opens up. And it was
that didn't happen. There's no way.
Okay.
There's no way.
All right.
There's no way.
All right. It was
if that had happened, you would have told me that when we go to.
It was at. I think I have that.
Ouija
I might have that story on the what do you call it? On either, it might be in the Ouija board section of Ghostly Adventures, the book, but I think it's on the website too.
Okay.
The Ouija board story section. We got rid of the Ouija board after that.
Yeah.
I was like, get it out of the house, because we'd had a few other weird things like alarms going off and stuff like that, and we threw the Ouija board away in the dumpster. Got rid of it.
Good.
About a week later, they found a dead body in that same dumpster. Now that's not connected, in theory.
That you think of? Was it a homicide or suicide?
Oh no, it was a homicide. There was like and anyone who was in Boston at that time, it was the one that was decapitating the nannies and dumping their bodies. And
oh my God,
there was like a little bit of like a serial killer thing that then like people stopped talking about. Like they never found it or anything like that.
They never
stopped finding
found
bodies, but there was like a few. There was at least 3 cases where nannies were like.
Do you think it could have been you in your dream state?
That's what the cops said.
So
because I actually had, we did have cops that talked to us. Did we say anything? And then like as a joke, one of the cops that came into the Big A was like, "Hey, isn't that where you lived?" Like, what were you doing that night? But
now I know
it definitely
why you
wasn't.
From Boston.
Right, I'm shipping out of Boston because of. So it's if that's the case.
And that thing was pulling you. That whatever
right.
energy or entity was attached to that.
It was definitely something that I was like, and I didn't do the Ouija board for a long time. I have different ideas, like Miguel was talking about, like that's why he doesn't do the Ouija board. I've got different ideas on it. I think once again it's intention. I think that we were completely like on drugs doing it. Like we were obsessed with it, and it was like, and I think that we were then communicating with the lowest forms of things. Do you think approaching sleep as an opportunity to communicate with ghosts can make a link?
Yes.
So would you ever do that?
I have to that.
It's like, I refuse to talk about it or elaborate whatsoever on this, but I have done that.
Yeah, and I've done it recently.
Yeah?
You know what I mean?
No.
Absolutely.
Explain what you mean, because I don't know what you've been doing recently with ghosts in your room.
I don't really want to.
Will you share it with me?
Maybe.
By myself?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. I will share one. Okay, so I got a message probably 8 years ago now. Oh, like 7 years ago. Okay. One of the first times that it's ever happened to me. And my great uncle, who I hadn't seen, wasn't really an uncle, like family friend that you call uncle, came to me and said something to do with my business. And I had been waiting for 7 years for it to happen, right? Long time. It was a big joke at work because I told everybody, like, okay, when this happens, then we know I'm not crazy, right? Well, it happened last year. Exactly what that person told me to be on the lookout for happened.
So how long ago did the dream happen?
Like 7 years ago.
And it didn't happen. So it took 6 years for the dream to come
right.
out. Mm-hmm. And did he say it was going to be like in the future, or did he say like?
Nope. He said, when you meet this person, go for it. It was basically the message. Like, continue on, keep chugging along. Is kind of what I took from it anyway.
Yeah.
That's the and.
Was that what he would have been like in life?
No.
To give you that kind of advice, or does it come out of nowhere?
It came out of nowhere.
And was there like a context for the dream? Like, had you dreamt about him?
Nope.
Had he just recently passed? Or
nope.
And that's the other weird thing about ghosts in dreams is that, and we've given examples. I gave 2 examples of mine that were nearly departed. But messages from people in dreams, so I feel like maybe my grandmother has once or twice tried to say something to me and I'm not ready to hear it.
You should. Oh my
Um,
word. I would welcome my grandmother. She's the only one that hasn't come to me.
There are reasons why. There are reasons why. Let's put it this way. I don't think in the dreams she can't communicate with me yet. I don't know if it's because I'm closed off or because she can't communicate. Right. But she's been dead for a while. She's been dead for like 5-6 years now. But that's the like. It doesn't necessarily have to be. A crisis apparition traditionally appears like
right
in the
after.
first 3 days.
Oh,
right. The first
I
3 days.
I didn't realize
pass.
That was a thing.
And there was like a whole thing of like whether like how long it takes the soul to pass on and stuff like that. If you read like Sylvia Browne and James Van Patten, whatever his name is, I think that's the guy from.
Yeah, but even once they
James
pass
Van Prague.
Even once they pass on, I think that they can still come to you.
Right.
I absolutely.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Crisis apparitions. That's kind of like the what people say. Only ghostly dreams seem to happen across time. Like it can happen anytime.
Yeah.
And I think that there is this, am I having a dream? Am I having a visitation? Mm-hmm. Why can't they make it clear?
I can.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why not be abstract? Why not be like, I've died, I'm a ghost.
So
I'm a soul that's from beyond. Let me give you some advice. Why does it always have to be this like serene meeting on a beach? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or like, having a conversation in light, as opposed to just being like, listen, I'm dead. I got something to tell you. Let me pass it on to you.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Are there rules, do you think?
But who enforces the rules and what happens if they break the rules?
Are they not good at what they do? Like, are they not accepting that they've passed? Because usually in a ghostly dream, there seems to be some kind of resolve that they have passed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there seems to be a serenity. If people have other ones that are different than that, you can share them. But there seems to be like a serenity of like, I am past and I have this to bring to you.
Maybe they are saying it plainly, but our ears can't accept it.
What do you mean?
Our subconscious can't accept what they're really saying, so we only get the gist of what they're saying. So maybe they communicate on such a different level.
So when we wake up, we can only partly receive like our maybe
right, exactly.
A certain level of us receives all of it, but our conscious mind only gets like a bit and piece, pieces of it.
Right. So they're communicating with us on such a high level and such a high energy that our brain's not capable of absorbing everything that they're saying. We're only able to take in what's absolutely necessary.
Right. And
what we feel is necessary. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's I don't have nightmares of scary dreams, like of scary things that I've experienced or anything like that. The ones that other than those
Ouija board ones, yeah.
Well, the Ouija board, and keep in mind, that was, I mean, we're talking 25 years ago now.
And that's really, those are freaky.
But they're mostly serene when they are like that. I know, I'm sorry. So, I don't know.
That said,
I think it's about time for us to go dream.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, so
it's past my bedtime.
Yeah, so let's put a fork in this one.
Okay.
Maybe we'll revisit astral projection at some point.
Okay. Maybe I'll try to get up the guts to kind of share my experiences, but I do want to leave you with this
because I know your personal is your personal, and
I do want to leave you with this. The way that I was always able to determine a ghostly visit as opposed to an astral projection.
Yeah.
When I was done astral projecting myself, when I brought myself back, the energy that I felt, I could have cleaned the entire house afterwards. I bounced out of bed and I was racing all around instead of feeling.
I can't imagine myself ever bouncing out of bed and cleaning anything.
But that's how I always felt the difference.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would wake up if somebody visited me in a dream. You kind of wake up slowly.
And I remember even that Devil's Tree one, feeling as if I had been in a fight all night, like in a wrestling match all night,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So interesting. We'd still love for you, even if you weren't able to share on the show, and even if you weren't able to call or text us on our new line, feel free to communicate with us any way you can. So the first way would be hitting up our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/trippingonlegends. You can also hit us up and follow us on Twitter. I am at Spooky Balzano.
I'm at Nene, my friend.
Our Instagram is Spooky Tripping, as well as our email is spookytripping@gmail.com. And now our number that you can text us any time of the day or night.
Because Chris is lonely.
I'm a lonely, lonely man. 813-418-4669. 4822. It's also in the messages here, as well as our rest of our communication is in the event part. And usually when I post this, I post all our information too.
Okay. When's the next live show?
The next live, well, 2 weeks if we can.
Okay.
Like I'd love to do another. I'd love to be able next week to put out an episode proper.
Okay.
And we'll talk about whether we think the live
This
episode
weekend would
one
be best.
this weekend for
episode.
an episode.
Yeah.
Okay, but I won't put it out this weekend. Two in 1 week is way too much for them to handle. We can handle it.
Right. Anyways.
Okay. So keep us in touch. I mean, we are doing it, and summer's coming, so that means more time to write.
And trip.
Which means if you need more time to trip too. Which means if you're not following us on social media and you're not following us at the website, which is trippingonlegends.wordpress.com, then you're missing it, because I'm going to be posting parts of the stories of the two new books that I'm working on.
Nice.
And feel free to make your next event spooky with Chris Balzano, author, storyteller, folklorist, who has been gathered.
And thank you,
stories.
Miguel, for all of your input.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being Actors Night. We love our actors people.
Yes.
So for Christopher Balzano,
Natalie Crist.
here's hoping that all your dreams are
spooky.
Legend.
No, I was going to say.
Right. Here's hoping that all your dreams are spooky. See, I was going to do like a whole.
Yeah, no.
No.
I was going to go with ghost.
Have a wonderful night.
Night.
Night.